thought I heard Lou's voice before.
You did.
Where is she?
Right here. I'm waving.
How are you, Dave?
That is funny.
Who's that that asked about me? Who was that that asked about me?
Mike O'Connell.
O'Connell. Michael O'Connell? Where are you?
I wanted to tell you how many times.
I can't see you.
How
Here you are. Is this Saturday Night Live? It's Saturday Night Live.
Oh man. All right, let's see. We are just about ready to get started. I'm going to show you guys my palette so you can at least set up your paints to look similar to mine. So I'm going to mute everyone for a second and just talk for a moment. All right, so we are going to get started in just a second. I would first like to thank you all for coming out on this wonderful Friday night to paint some happy little trees and a wonderful little moon tonight. So the colors we're going to be using, we have titanium white, we got bright red, we have phthalo blue, and Mars black. So we're going to mostly be using the blue tonight. My colors have since kind of spread out a little bit, but really you just need a little bit of red, a little bit of white, and then we're mostly going to be using the blue and a lot of black as well. So, yes.
Can you record this and then I can do it later?
Oh my God. Yes, I have it recording, Mother.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Yep. Love ya. All right. So again, just get your paper plates set up to look similar to mine. It doesn't have to look identical. And if you don't have the exact same colors, that's all right. We'll make do with what you got. Don't panic. But as always, we have this plate that's going to hold all our colors, and then I'm going to have another plate. This one's clear this week, so you'll be able to see it really well. And this is the plate I'm going to use to mix everything up on. All right, and then as always, we got our trusty brushes here. So let's go through them. If you're a regular, you certainly know them, but we're going to name them out here. We got Bob. This is our big old brush. As we go through them, we're going to drop them in the water tub here, the pool tonight, because it's too hot for a jacuzzi. So go ahead and drop Bob in there. And if you don't have the exact same brushes as I do, that's okay. Don't panic. We'll make do with what you got. But if you want them, I do have extra for sale, as well as all the paints that we're going to be using each week. That's what I have up here. So if you're ever like, I want my paints to match and I want better brushes, let me know. I got you. All right, and then our next brush, this is Bob Jr. It's the smaller version of Bob. And again, throw them in the water as we go. And then we got Rhonda. That's our roundest brush. There's Rhonda. All right. And Rhonda Jr. There's Rhonda Jr., which is our smallest, roundest, littlest brush. All right, and if you don't already, have some paper towels nearby. Always good to take two, fold them in half, and then I usually just drop them right underneath the water cup. And it's good to get in the habit of whenever you pull out a brush, just dab it off on the paper towel, and then you won't have streaks dripping down your palette here. So let me just move my paints. All right, so do we have any questions before we get started here? Feel free to unmute yourself at any time. Mike O'Connell is raising his hand. I'm going to unmute you, Mike. Shout it out. What's up?
Can I see the palette real quick? Because I'm late. Can you just show me what you got here?
Yep. We got black, white, blue, and a little bit of red. Mine have all flattened out, so it looks like we're using more than we are. Mostly blue.
Why is David driving in a car? How are you guys going to paint while you're driving?
My mother and David are just joining for fun.
Yo, J-Man.
I feel like that might be unsafe, but I mean, whatever, you know, do you.
Listen, he doesn't watch the road whether or not there's a paint night anyway. All right. So if there are no... All right, Mike, you're raising your hand still. Please shout out your question.
Is this a guaranteed no laugh at each other's zone?
Excuse me? You're going to have to speak up.
Is this a guaranteed no laughing at each other's zone, or is it...
If you don't know the person, you're not allowed to laugh at them. But if you know them, fair game.
I'm in trouble.
All right? And you don't always have to show them, but at certain points we do like to turn them around and just see what we got, see what we're working with. All right. So who's ready to rock and roll? Fantastic. We are going to start tonight's painting with Bob. So let's pull Bob out of the pool. All right. Hopefully you cleaned Bob from last week so he's not rock hard tonight. But we're going to take Bob and we are going to mix together a really nice dark blue that's going to go around the ring here. And before we get started, I don't always have the master painting, but this week I do. So I'm just going to show you what we're going to try and work towards. So this is the one we're going to be kind of working towards. My light is completely washing it out. But we're just going to go for this dark blue around the outside. And believe it or not, there is a little bit of red in there. So let's mix up that color. So to do that, we're going to take our palette and we're going to take Bob and we're going to take for this big canvas, I'm going to need about 3 big scoops of blue. You might only need 2 depending on the size you're working with. All right, but I'm going to take my plastic plate here and go ahead and put 3 big scoops. And when I say scoops, I mean I've taken my brush here and using it like a spoon. And we're going to blob that down. I'll show you my other one in a second. I'm going to put 3 of those. All right, so I got that there. All right, now I'm going to do a nice big scoop of red. And when I take my scoop of red, I'm not going to worry about the blue that's on my brush. I'm just going to go from the side of my red here. So I'm just going to go from the side. It'll get a little bit in there, but that's fine. All right, I'm going to blob that right there next to it. And then we're just going to take a dunk of black. So we just take our brush, dunk it in the black. And then we're going to take all those colors and we're going to smush them together. And we're really going to try and smush them as opposed to painting the whole plate. We want to keep it tight and consolidated here so it's not smushing around. So we can use as much of this paint as possible. All right, now once we have this nice bluish, purpley-ish color, all right, we are going to go ahead and we're going to try and paint all the edges all the way around. And we're trying to kind of make a little bit of an egg shape. All right, so again, I'm just going to start at my top left corner here. And if you're working on a 3-dimensional canvas like I am, you want to make sure you paint the sides. All right, make sure you wrap that paint around the sides and the top and the bottom.
I don't know, John.
Oh, what's up, John and Amy made it. How's it going? All right, I'm just going to mute you there. All right, so again, we're just going to get all this paint just kind of wrapping around the edges of our canvas. And we're going to go maybe about 2 inches in on each side. All right, don't be too stressed about how far in you go. All right, we're going to overlap a lot of this. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of map out the general shape I'm going for here. And then we're just going to fill everything in. Again, wrapping that around the bottom there. And if you find that your paint starts to stick a little bit, feel free to take your brush and dunk it straight into the water. All right, and with just a little bit of water, swirl that around into the paint that you're working with, and it'll just help move a little easier across the canvas. Amy, you can't hear us? We hear you. We hear you, Amy. Fix your audio. I'm going to mute you, though. Okay. All right, so again, we're just gonna fill this all the way in. And again, I'm gonna say it 100 times tonight, but don't forget your edges. All right, there's nothing worse than remembering 90% of your edges and then just missing a huge spot on the bottom or the side. All right, so you really wanna make sure you stay consistent with that. And you really just wanna cover all the canvas. All right, we don't want a huge thick layer. You don't want clumps of paint on there. But you don't want to see any of the canvas shining through.
You did everyone's. You did everyone's. I can't.
Yeah, so I wasn't, can you hear me now? John? Turn your volume up there. Johnny boy, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Amy, all right, you can hear me.
Yeah, I can.
Awesome. So we're just painting around the edges with a nice dark blue here that has a little bit of red in it and a touch of black if you're using the same colors we are.
All right, I'm using watercolor, so I'll just do my thing.
All right, do your thing. I'm going to mute you though. If you have any questions, unmute yourself and shout them out.
Gotcha.
You look great.
Hey, you guys look great. It's awesome to see you. All right. So again, keep that going around. And so remember, as you're going, you don't want a real thick layer. All right, we're gonna want to be able to put some stuff over on top of this. So just as you're going, brush back over the stuff that you've done a little bit. It may look really wet or thick on there. And again, don't forget your sides and your corners. My canvas is really quite large, so I'm gonna have to mix up a little bit more paint here. I'm just going to come around to the other side. And we're just going for that rough outline shape of kind of an egg here. All right. Now, once we have that, we are going to add a nice light shade that kind of overlaps with that. So whenever everyone is ready and they have their little oval painted around, give me a thumbs up. Just so we know we're ready for the next step here. Fantastic, look like everyone's ready to rock and roll. All right, so we are gonna mix up another color. So if you have some of that color left over that we just made, save it. We're gonna use a little bit later. If you don't.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it okay if, like, there are some parts where you can see the canvas on the inside of that dark green color?
Like this edge right on the inside?
Yeah, like a lot of mine's kind of just light.
Yeah. That's totally fine. If on the inside edge it's just kind of blended in, that's really what you're going for. All right, because we're gonna overlap with that. That's fine. Yeah. Just in the actual dark blue, you don't want any of that canvas shining through. Perfect. All right. So the next color that we're going to use, we are going to take 2 nice big scoops of blue. And I'm just going to do everything. I'm just going to kind of keep going along my plate here, just so I can come back to those colors if I need them. All right, so I'm going to do 2 nice scoops of blue and a nice half scoop of red here. All right. Now this time we're going to do a dunk of white.
Hey, sorry, we're still just using Bob, right?
Yep, still Bob. And I haven't even cleaned Bob. Yep, just using Bob still. And so this time, instead of doing a dunk of the black, you're doing a dunk of white. And again, we're just sticking with Bob. I haven't washed him. And then we're just going to kind of go right on that inside edge. All right, and I'm going to start pretty much right on that edge. And I'm going to slowly kind of work some of that paint out. All right, keep in mind.
You said, do we do a dunk of red with this one as well, with the white?
Yep, so this one you have basically a half scoop of red and then a dunk of white. Yep.
Cool.
All right, and so this is basically just going to be a lighter shade of that one that we made. And again, you want to start pretty much right on that line and just kind of working along there. And then as you lose some of that paint, work your way out into that darker space. And you don't want to go too far because you have some really nice shadows there. But we're really just trying to blend those colors just a little bit. Just a little bit. And again, we want this to be maybe 2 inches. 2 inches of this. And it's okay if it breaks as you get towards the middle. That's fine. But in the thick of it, you just want to make sure that you don't see any of that canvas showing through. Again.
Yo, Sawyer.
Yo!
Sorry, I just finished my outer one. So this is just, we're doing lighter and just going inside?
Yeah, so this one you're going to take 2 scoops of blue and a half scoop of red. And then instead of doing a dunk of black, do a dunk of white. And it's just going to lighten it up a little bit more for you. And again, all my brush strokes are really just kind of following the same path around this shape. All right, so really just kind of getting that illusion of the moon's kind of reflection shining through the night. But again, you just keep going over those edges as the paint comes off the brush, and it'll really just blend together really nicely. Right. So once you have something like this, again, just take your brush and just kind of go over that inside edge a bunch of times just so it's thins out a little bit. You don't have any thick globs. It's all right if this is where the paint breaks. That's fine. It's just kind of blending a little bit there. All right. And then when we're ready for that next shade of blue, just give me a thumbs up, and I know that we will hop on. Everybody make sure you're staying hydrated out there. It's very warm. All right, fantastic. Here we go. All right, so let's keep it with Bob. Again, at this point, he shouldn't have much paint on him, so don't sweat it. All right, so we're gonna take a nice big scoop of blue here. All right, you might need 2 depending on how much you have left to fill in. All right, so, and then we're gonna do a nice half scoop of red. All right, so that's what I got right now, right here. And then I'm gonna do a half scoop of white. All right, so this is gonna be about twice as much white as you used last time. And we wanna mix all that together. And sometimes we like those swirls in there. Not today. We wanna make sure you don't see any of the other colors swirling around there. You want a nice solid shade. All right, and then once you have that mixed up, we're gonna fill in the rest of this. All right, we are gonna fill in the rest of this. And really, we're just trying to make a gradient so it gets lighter as we make our way towards the middle.
Sawyer, what was it? It was a scoop of blue, and then what was the other two?
So a nice big scoop of blue, half scoop of red, and then a half scoop of white. So pretty much the same amount of white as you do red. It should just be it should just keep getting lighter as we work our way. And again, same thing with this. Once you get some of that paint down, all right, and there isn't a lot on your brush, just kind of overlap with that darker layer on that outside edge, just to kind of blend those together. And again, all my strokes are really just following the same general shape of this egg-looking thing we have here. And now we want to make sure that we don't have any canvas showing through. All right, because we are going to fill this all the way across. All right, so you might have to mix up some more like I am. So if you forgot the ratio, it's a big scoop of blue. It's a half a scoop of red. And a half a scoop of white. And all mixed together. So again, you just want to make sure you cover all the way across here with a nice thin layer. All right, and we want to make sure it blends out into those darker edges. And if you're finding that that paint's starting to stick a little bit as we start to work here, remember you can always add just a tiny bit of water into that paint as you're working, and that can help. Awesome. All right, so once you're done with that, just place Bob in the water. You don't have to wash him at all. All right, just throw him in the pool. Let him cool down a little bit. He doesn't need a bath. All right, you don't want to dirty your water. All right, so we've got this nice gradient where it goes really dark around the whole edges and then lightens up as we get towards the middle here. All right. And once you're done, just set those brushes in the water for a second and take a sip of your beverage. And I'm going to mute everyone. If you guys have any questions, shout them out.
Hey, buddy, can you tilt the picture? I'd like to see it without the glare on it just for a little bit.
That's too dark. Is that better? Is that okay, Mike?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me move it a little closer. Nice. I wish it was. I'd run outside. I'm freaking sweating over here.
Yeah, that reminds me, Sawyer, our brother texted us, they're having wicked storms up there, so they've lost internet. So
Oh.
he texted saying he couldn't.
Well, we'll have to send them the recording along with my mother.
I might cut out at some point. I might lose internet up here too.
All right, Jaren, we'll just paint a bunch of trees.
All right, I watched your Instagram video. I kind of saw how it goes.
We are going to add a little bit to this one, a little extra. A little extra. All right, so again, I still see a lot of people painting. Let's finish up those central points because we do want it to have a second to dry before we lay down our next couple layers. It is the hardest part. Also, do make sure while you have these nice blues wet that you paint. So make sure while you have the blues wet that you paint those edges, right? If you have a three-dimensional canvas, you really want to make sure you wrap the paint all the way around the sides, right? Like actually paint the edges, all right, and the bottom. All right, so I can see edges unpainted where I'm sitting, folks. Get those edges. All right, I'm unmuting you. If you have any questions, shout them out. We're gonna start our next thing. Will be in 2 minutes exactly. So if you need a beverage, now is a good time. If you need to hit the baño, run.
Sawyer, how much more glue are we gonna use? Because mine's like out.
No, that was pretty much it for the blue. So don't panic.
What's up, Paul?
What up, Jaren?
Hi, Katie. You guys are going to town back there. How come Paul's not doing anything?
I'm fucking done.
Let's see it, Paul. Let's see it. Let's see what you got. That's some
Ooh,
good blue, Paul.
nice,
That's
Paul.
some good blue.
Nice.
Beautiful, Paul.
Very good.
So is it better if I have the canvas angled like this?
Yes.
All right, cool, awesome. It's easier for me too, so win-win. It was a pain in the ass before, I'll be honest. Like, you should have seen my bench last week, or when was it? Last week? My bench was like completely sideways when I took it off here. It looked perfect from where I was sitting, but then it was like,
I didn't realize you were up there now.
Yeah, man, I'm in the ping. I got everything set up on the ping pong table. It's great.
Dude, you're like exploring the space of the studio.
I think I found. Yeah, I mean now I'm getting the angles right, but
No, wait, you gotta have the goose. You can bring the goose with you to every
dude, we got room for the goose. All right, 60 seconds.
60 seconds. Wait, that's the
What'd you say, Mike?
I need another 37 seconds.
All right, you got 30. Mike, are you still painting?
Yes.
Put the hammer down. You got it.
Darren, what's happening?
Hi! Hi, Dave! Hi, Lulu!
Onk.
We might be going out of range in the
All right.
Lost you there for a minute. You still on the road?
What?
Want to see what I have so far?
Who'd we lose? Let's see what you got. Ooh, nice. Beautiful.
Woo!
Beautiful. Wait, now that's your that's a cat. Is that a dog? Oh, that's Hazel. I thought that was a cat.
What's yours out? What's a puppy?
What? Let me see yours.
Oh, I don't want to show it.
That's all. Mine looks like eggplant color, not blue at all. Oh, that's nice.
Lou, you might have added a touch too much red. That might have done it.
See? It's totally eggplant.
And mine came out lavender. What do I do about that?
You guys are working with a different blue and a different red. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, wow. All good.
But it's fine, yeah. It'll be cool. I'm excited to see what it turns out as. All right. Are you guys ready for round 2? Jesse, let's see what you got. Yeah.
Nice.
Bye bye, love you. I mean,
Looks
not
better
bye-bye.
on the camera than it does in real life. So.
It's awesome how that works.
I pinned you, Lizzie.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna mute everybody. We're going on to step 2 here. Again, you can always unmute yourself and shout out questions as we're going here. All right, so the next step that we're gonna do is we're gonna add in a nice horizon line. All right, and add the effect of some trees and their shadows as well. So to do that, we're gonna stick with Bob. And again, we didn't clean Bob because it doesn't really matter that much. We're gonna let those blues in there are gonna look good, but we don't want them dripping wet. So if you pull Bob out, wipe him off on the paper towel so he's not soaking wet. All right, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our mixing tray, and so I still have some of the blue, that dark blue that we were working with before. If you don't, that's fine. But I'm just gonna put a scoop of black right next to it. All right, and then I'm just gonna put a touch of that dark blue in there. If you don't have any of that dark blue left, just put a little bit of the regular blue in there, and that's fine. All right, but we're just trying to make it so it's not perfectly black. All right, just a little bit of blue in there. All right, so now it hasn't.
Are you using Bob?
Yeah, I still got Bob out.
Still Bob, okay.
Still got Bob. All right, so now before it didn't really matter, but now when I pull the brush off here, I'm gonna pull it along the edge so that I get a nice sharpened point there. All right, I don't want a bunch of paint on it because we want a nice horizon line that's gonna work our way across. Now the edges aren't gonna matter quite as much because we're gonna put more branches and stuff out there, but in the middle you do want to keep it kind of thin. All right, so now we're gonna go about 1/3 of the way up or 2/3 of the way down, depending on whichever direction you want to go from here. All right, and so I'm gonna start right over here, and well, let's just map it out. So I'm gonna put a little mark. You're probably not gonna be able to see that very well, but again, 1/3 of the way up, put a dot, and then go up 1/3 of the way on the other side. Give yourself a mark. All right, and then we're gonna work our way across with a nice line, and the thickness in the middle you want to be pretty thin. All right, you don't want it very thick in the middle. So again, we're gonna work our way across. Sound effects are encouraged, and they help. All right, so we have this horizon line going across. Now we're gonna build it up at the edges. All right, so we're gonna kind of funnel it down a little bit from both sides. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of work my way down this way and then work my way back out. So they kind of look like crow's feet or chicken's feet. And then you can fill that in with the black. All right, and then we're gonna do the same thing, coming out the other side. Give yourself a little hill. And then to give the effect of us looking into a little lake or a lagoon, just bring that side down a little bit. All right, I'm gonna bring this side down a little bit more as well, so we have something to hold that water in place. Awesome. Perfect. Now, once you have that horizon line laid out, you can put Bob in the pool. We're done with Bob for now. All right. The next brush entering the arena will be Rhonda. So let's get Rhonda out. We have not used Rhonda yet. She is our roundest brush. Doo-doo. All right. And we're going to use that same color, all right, that same blackish blue mixture. Now there are a couple different ways we can do this next step. All right, sometimes I like to start where I want my branches to actually end up and then work my way back to the trunk, or you can go the opposite direction, start at the trunk and kind of flick your wrist out. So try what works best for you. I am going to make my trees the tallest out on the edges here, and then as I work my way down, all right, I want them to get nice and shallow, maybe only 1 inch tall in the middle, maybe even less. All right, now what's really important with this step is that as you grow the trees up, All right, you want to roughly grow them down as well because we're going to add our reflection now. All right, so I'm going to build a tree right over here first just so you can see it. All right, so I'm going to kind of just build the tree up and have a little bit of branches coming up there. And then I'm going to do the same thing going down, just roughly. All right, and that was hard to see. So I'm going to put one over here and see if you guys can see that. Let's see. So we'll have a tree. You see that one? Awesome. All right, I'm going to give it a couple branches. And then I'm going to do the same thing kind of going down. And just kind of mirror it in the water. And it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, you just want to add a little bit of brush going down into the water. And so we're going to work our way all the way across. Just remember to make it kind of like a smile. You want it to be the tallest on the outside and the shortest in the middle. All right, and we're just trying to break up that horizon line so we don't have those harsh lines going through.
Hey, Soy,
Yo.
the mirrored image in the water.
Yeah.
Like the opposite angle.
So it really, you just got, yeah, I mean, you can, right? Don't stress too much about this, right? Even just having a couple little branches in there is going to be enough to kind of trick your brain into thinking that the shadows are there. All right, you don't want to overthink this one. All right, just kind of go up and then go down in the same direction. Go up, go down. All right, get into a rhythm of it. And you can make your trees pretty tall around the edges. Keep in mind, we're going to put some nice big trees in the front here. So if you have some trees that you hate, we can hide them later. Don't worry. All right, so again, find the technique that works for you. And even if you like the technique where you end, or you start where you want the branch to end and you work your way back, all right, I still want you to try right on the edge of that horizon just to kind of flick your wrist straight up, just kind of using the tension of the brush, just to kind of add the effect of some little grasses in there. All right, and that helps break up that horizon as well. So in between your trees, throw in some of those little grasses, just kind of sprouting up there. You could even add a little bush if you wanted to. All right, but all of this is just the illusion off on the horizon. And then again, as you're going, I know it's easy to get into the rhythm and forget to do those little bits in the water, but don't neglect. Go back and add a few little reflections in the water. All right, and then once you're working your way across the middle here, again, don't overthink it. Just kind of let the grass happen. Make sure you're reloading your brush each time too. You might pick up some of that light blue that we laid down earlier. Just want to make sure that you're reloading your brush so that you stick with the color you want. Again, just break that horizon line up. You don't really want to see that harsh line going through the middle. Nice, every once in a while, take a step back, take a breath, remember to breathe. All right, and then just double check. You know, if there are any obvious big trees sticking up that don't have a reflection, go ahead and add those in. All right, awesome. Now, Give me a thumbs up if you've made your way across your lagoon. All right, I'm gonna give you guys a couple more minutes to make your way across there. All right, please, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself, shout them out. All right, just keep in mind you wanna keep that mirror-like image going.
Very fitting shirt for tonight.
Thanks, man. So let's take another 1 minute to finish this step. Again, don't overthink it. This is gonna be our background. We're gonna hide some of this stuff with the big trees anyway, so don't panic. And I apologize if I look like I am like completely a reflection of the light, because I am sweating very much. All right. 10 seconds. Finish those little branches. Don't overthink them. All right. So the next thing that we are going to do very carefully is we're going to pull out Bob Jr. Now, this is the first time we've used Bob Jr. tonight. If you don't have a Bob Jr., that's all right. You can just clean Bob and use him. All right, but if you have Bob Jr., that's what we're going for, just the smaller version of Bob. And I'm gonna just take a clean scoop of white. So try and find a spot of your white that hasn't been touched by a bunch of shenanigans and colors and whatnot. All right, so find a clean spot on your mixing plate, just like that. All right, now I'm gonna take a dunk of water. All right, so I'm gonna put my brush right in the water. And I'm going to put a dunk of water, maybe even 2. All right, we're trying to make this white really liquidy. So I'm going to just swirl in that water and just try and break that paint up.
So
Yo.
Sorry, we were discussing and we missed your, it's just a scoop of white with a drop of water.
Scoop of white with 2, maybe 3 drops of water swirled in really well. So it's just kind of liquid. All right, we're going for a liquidy white, and then you don't want to have much of this on your brush at all. All right. So then you're just going to take a little bit of this, and now this is where you're going to get some paint on your hands. So have your paper towels nearby. All right, but I'm just going to kind of grab the brush and flick forward onto my canvas. And again, just like you mirrored your trees, I'm going to put just a few stars up in the sky, and I'm going to kind of mirror them down here as well. So I'm just going to kind of flick this, and you might have to reload. All right, you're going to be able to see this on your canvas a lot better than you're going to see it on mine. But I promise I'm putting little white specks, and you might have to spin your brush around. You might have to reload it a little bit. All right, but again, I'm going to go this way and just add some stars in there. And then I'm going to do the same thing down here. Just kind of going across. Just to add the illusion of some stars. And if you want to hit the corners too, do it. If you want to hit your neighbor, go for it. Just kidding, don't paint your neighbor. Leisure, you can paint Jesse though, that's fine. All right. So again, we don't want to overdo it, but we just want to add some stars. Nice, and make sure you add a few in the reflection as well. All right, and we can put Bob Jr. away. I would suggest if you don't want your finger to look completely white, just maybe wipe it off a little bit with some paper towel. Clean it up a touch. Fantastic. All right. What's up? I didn't even mention it, but we are on Instagram Live tonight, which is pretty exciting. We're using all of the technology available to us, getting our word out there. Make sure all those folks out that aren't painting tonight, join us next week. Fantastic. All right, so we should have some stars, all right, and a wonderful little reflection going on here. Now, before we do this next step, we're just gonna get in the very bottom of our painting with a nice black coat. So we're gonna pull Bob back out. All right, so that's our big old brush. And if he's dripping, again, dab him off on the paper towel. And we're just gonna use straight black, so you don't have to mix anything. Just gonna use straight black. And I'm just gonna kind of add a little bank here for the trees to go on. So really, just in the middle, it's about the thickness of my brush, right in the middle. It's about as thick as I'm gonna go. And then on the edges, maybe 2 or 3 thicknesses of your brush. And you just kind of have it drop down a little bit in the middle. Don't overthink this, but this is the time where if you did not paint the bottom of your canvas, do it. All right, when you hang it on the wall later, it's gonna look terrible if you just have a big white splotch missing from the bottom. Okay, so I'm actually going to pick mine up. I'm gonna drop this down a sec. Hang on. There we go. Like that. And we're gonna paint across. Don't forget to get those edges and the bottom. Awesome. I missed the top, so I'm just gonna put black up there. Perfect. Awesome.
So are you putting black on the top there?
Well, I just had a big spot up there that I missed because of my easel.
Oh, all right. I didn't. Yeah, I missed it. Thank you.
No, I was just touching up my edges, touching up the bottom. This is a good color to do it with because everything's pretty dark, right? So, so again, we just have this nice little riverbank here for us to stand on. All right, but we're done with Bob for now, so go ahead and throw him in the water. Perfect. All right. Now the next step, I imagine, is going to be one of the harder steps for some of us. Now, this is where we got to choose wisely. All right, we are going to draw the moon. Now, I want you to pick your favorite phase. Okay, whether that's a waxing gibbous, a waning crescent, first quarter, second quarter. Okay, whatever it is, you find your favorite phase. I'm going to just do a full moon. All right, so if you want to just copy me, go ahead and do the full moon. But if you're like, I want a waxing crescent, you can do that. All right, but again, we're gonna aim to put our moon dead center up here. All right, and then the reflection is gonna just go a little bit closer to the horizon than you'd think. All right, because we gotta imagine we're standing on it, so it's gonna reflect. And so it's not gonna be a perfect mirror over this horizon. All right, so let's aim to paint our moon first, and then we'll go for the reflection. So I'm using Bob Jr. for our moon. All right, Bob Jr. is gonna give us a nice edge. All right, it's not gonna matter too much about the pressure that we're pushing with. So, so let's go ahead straight into the white with Bob Jr. All right, and well, I'm gonna stand back for a second just to make sure we get it centered. And I'm just gonna put a dot right where I want my moon to go. All right, I want you to do the same. Okay, whatever phase you're gonna do, all right, that's gonna be if you're doing a crescent, that'll be your biggest part of it. All right, but if you're gonna do the full moon like me, what we're gonna do is just slowly grow this circle bigger and bigger, right? You can always make your moon bigger. You can never make it smaller. So we're gonna slowly grow this. All right, so I'm actually gonna be walking around it. All right, and I'm just gonna kind of swirl my brush. All right, so I'm gonna just press it down and just twist my wrist. All right, and once you get that technique, all right, reload your brush, and then every once in a while, make sure you take a step back and make sure you're growing it in the right direction. All right, it's really easy to kind of get stuck in this and start overthinking some of the spots. But again, you just want to slowly get your moon to a size that you like. All right, and if you do it a little big, that's fine, right? You are drawing a landscape from when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth, right? Your moon is just a little closer, that's fine. And if you make it really tiny, it's the future. Nice job. All right, but we do want somewhat of a normal size moon. But again, every once in a while, I kind of have to move my whole body around this canvas just to kind of get the right angle on it each time. So if you need to do the same, sometimes this step helps if you just actually put the canvas like right in your lap, as long as your edges aren't soaking wet. All right, if they are, don't put it in your lap. And if you leave some of these brush strokes in the moon, it actually looks really nice. Kind of adds to that texture that the moon has. Shows you that little Maria. So I'm gonna give you guys another 2 minutes.
So
Yo.
I've got like too much of the light of the blue bleeding through. Is that because it was too wet?
If your blue is soaking wet, then you need to air dry it. But that's why we took that break for a while. So if you were painting blue while we were taking that break, then it probably didn't have enough time to dry. So you can either pick it up, fan dry it, all right, or if you have you can breathe on it. We don't want you to pass out on us though. So, but if you also a hair dryer, if you have a hair dryer nearby, those work really well. It'll take about 2 seconds to dry it. But yeah, so I mean I have a little bit of the blue showing through, so don't stress too much about it. You don't want these colors totally mixing though. All right, but a little bit of the blue showing through is actually fine. It just, again, adds to that little bit of texture that the moon actually has. All right. So again, if we spend too much time on the moon, we will be here all night, all trying to make a perfect circle, which sometimes takes weeks if you're actually working on a painting. So again, I'm gonna give you another 20 seconds. So make your moon 51% satisfaction. That's what we're going for here. And then we're moving on. No, I'm just kidding. But all right, so if you have your moon already up in the sky, then we're going to make our reflection. So again, I'm gonna wait, yep.
I'm getting ready. Show you my moon.
Oh, let me see your moon. Oh, Lou, you keep that full moon away. Damn it. Who brought you? No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I love it. All right. Perfect. All right, so get those moons done. Get them to a somewhat spherical shape. But again, if you're mixing, if your colors are kind of blending and mixing, it's just because some of the background ones are still a little wet. So just a little fan or breathing on it. And sometimes if you hold it at an angle, you can see those, you can see the wet spots. So you can avoid them. All right. 10 seconds. And then we're doing our reflection. You can always come back to the moon later. All right, so again, this is going to be pure white again, with maybe a little bit of water in there if you need it to help move the paint around. Now again, I'm not going to just say, all right, I'm 5 inches above the horizon, so I'm gonna go 5 inches below the horizon. I'm actually gonna go a little less than that because the reflection is going to make it appear there. So I'm gonna make it, so if we go, let's say I'm going 5 inches up, I'm gonna come about 3 inches down. All right, so that's where I'm gonna make my mark in the water. All right, just about 3 inches down. All right, and then of course, take a step back, make sure it's in the center. Mine was a little off there, but that's okay. All right, and then we're doing the same thing. All right, this time we're just gonna grow our moon to match the one that we made before.
Are you making it smaller or same size?
I'm gonna make it the same size. And then we're gonna add some of this white going across the water to break that up. And that'll add the reflection of light going across there. But I'm just gonna kind of make it the same size. All right, if you want it, you can make it a little more oval. If it happens naturally, that's fine. Again, every once in a while, take a step back. Make sure you're moving the moon in the right direction. All right, and since this one is the reflection, you don't have to worry as much about getting that perfect shape, because we're gonna add some lines going through the water that just kind of help add to that effect. All right, so I'm probably gonna leave mine just like that. Maybe bring it a little bit this way. Awesome. Great. All right, everybody about at 51% satisfied with their moon reflection, sort of ish, maybe? Awesome. I can't hear anyone, just so we're clear. But I assume everyone said yes! All right, so I'm gonna give you guys, as long as it takes me to refill my drink to finish your moon reflection, go.
Alright, well, Sawyer's gone. Yo, Mike! What's up, Mike?
Yo, J-Roll! Yo, J-Roll!
Yo, Will, what's good? Well, I see you every week, though. I haven't seen Mike in, like, fucking
No,
months.
that's true. Yo, Mike!
Yo, Lou.
Mike, last time I saw you was at my birthday, I think.
That's right. What a great birthday that was.
Yeah, fuck yeah, that was awesome. How you been, dude?
Good. Crazy. I mean, this is
Good.
such an outrageous time.
Yeah, it's a weird time for everybody.
Yes, sir.
We're all navigating uncharted waters.
Indeed. And you're up by what? By like Smuggler's Notch?
Ah, dude, I live in Jay.
Jay.
20 minutes from Canada.
Wow, that's
3 minutes from Canada,
I
man!
don't even think it's that far. I drove there the other day. I think it was like 15 minutes. I was like, holy shit, Canada's right here.
Could you cross the border?
Honestly, I was about to the other day, and then I realized if I go across, I can't come back for 2 weeks. So, like, nope.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I just, like, got lost. I'm like, we're all in this.
Now, I'm going to assume with all that talking, you're done with your reflection, Jaren?